On this episode of the Press Rewind Prince Lyrics podcast, I will be entering into a subconscious state to talk about the Parade era vault track, All My Dreams. All My Dreams was recorded in late April and early May of 1985 at Sunset Sound Studios in Hollywood, California. Prince had just recorded Kiss at the same studio the day before, on April 27th, 1985. Like many of these Spring 85 vault tracks that I've covered so far from Dwayne Tudall's Parade and Sign of the Times Studio Sessions book, All My Dreams was included on a very early May configuration of Parade. It was then considered for a project in '86 that had been called Dream Factory, but how official that concept or album or whatever you want to call it is up for debate. Likely because Revolution members Wendy Melvoin and Lisa Coleman's backing vocals are so prominent in this song, once he disbanded the Revolution in '86, the song likely never had a chance to find a home in this post-1986 era without a complete overhaul. I guess once Prince entertained the idea of collaborating again with the Revolution in the late 90s, and they were going to release an album called Roadhouse Garden, and this song, All My Dreams, was considered for that project, but like Dream Factory, like The Dawn, the original Crystal Ball album, and then the Camille album, Roadhouse Garden was also one of those never finished, never released projects. All My Dreams was finally released as a vault track included in the 2020 Sign of the Times Super Deluxe release. Now, why was it included in that when it was recorded in spring of '85? When he was recording songs for Parade? Good question. I think, personally, I think that its tenuous connection to the Dream Factory project that was supposed to happen in '86 likely made this feel like it could also be included in Sign of the Times. And since Sign of the Times was a project, the Super Deluxe version of that album was something that was going to, be worked on. They wanted to make it maybe as grand as possible, and this being a bootlegger's favorite, a song that had been circulating for a while, and hardcore fans of Prince knew this song. They wanted a cleaned up official version of it, and Sign of the Times, I suppose, was just as good a place as any to put it. I mean, Parade obviously would have felt like a more appropriate location, so like some sort of Parade Super Deluxe, but it's 2025 and that's not seen the light of day. There's never been a Parade Super Deluxe release, and whether or not we ever see one remains to be seen, but I'm glad it's out, even if its location, where it ended up being released, feels a little off to me personally. Like the song Crystal Ball, All My Dreams is epic in scope and length. Prince plays the role of something akin to maybe like a Circus Barker or a dream guide, some omniscient presence that can provide both clear narration and confounding warbled guidance in equal measure. Lyrically, the song proceeds like a dream, a fever dream, sometimes nonsense, but also perfect sense at the same time. So there's a bit of both in this song. Some things that just don't seem to make a lot of logical sense, like a real dream, and some things that just are very clear as day to anyone who is conscious or lucid. So those ideas seem to be intertwined very nicely in this song. It's a very whimsical song, in my opinion, and later on when I read the notes from the Sign of the Times and Parade era sessions, studio sessions book, there'll be some comments in there that I like, and I don't want to paraphrase that, nor do I want to steal those comments, so I'm just going to leave that for later. But as I mentioned, the song is quite lengthy. It's well over 7 minutes. So we're going to get started going through the lyrics. The phrase "all my dreams" is repeated a few times at the start of the song before it gets into the opening music. But then the first verse goes, "I'll see you tonight in all my dreams. All my dreams. My spirit's in flight in all my dreams. All my dreams. A submarine valiantly conquers a virgin sea. A child is born, will you marry me?" So this is a fairly straightforward verse. Prince seems to be heading off into dreamland, and he will see you. Not clear who the you is in this context, but if it's the listener, if it's somebody specifically that he's referring to. But it's a nice opening verse to set the stage and set the tone for the song. I'll see you in all my dreams. There's the line about the submarine valiantly conquers a virgin sea. Here we've got the submarine as a phallic symbol, virgin sea as a euphemism, and so it's a very clear sex euphemism here. A child is born, maybe the outcome of that sex or that encounter between submarine and virgin sea. As marry me also can come after a relationship of this nature that results in a child. I mean, whether or not you have the child first and then get married, or get married and then have a child, I think is neither here nor there. It's just a setup for an adventure that involves two people who seem to be in love. I'll teach you tonight in all my dreams. All my dreams. You'll be so surprised at the things you'll see. All my dreams. Africa, Captain Crunch, Norma Jean, Sex and Cheerios. Play my record double speed and feel the climax fit for a king. Just fun, nothing ethereal. So now he's seemingly in a playful mood. The character Prince is playing in this verse. Very playful. Taking us on a journey, listing off things or places, and like Africa, for example, is a place. Captain Crunch and Cheerios, or cereals. We know Prince was a fan of cereal. There's been enough stories about Prince and his affinity for breakfast foods. Captain Crunch is not the only. This is not the only instance where Captain Crunch was brought up. We've got Joint to Joint from Emancipation in the 90s mentions Captain Crunch. In that song, Prince says something to the effect of, "You don't even know what kind of cereal I like." Captain Crunch with soy milk. So, yeah, this is definitely a thing in Prince world. He stayed pretty consistent in those 10 years between recordings of All My Dreams and Joint to Joint. Captain Crunch still remained a favorite. I always wondered, did he just like the regular plain old Captain Crunch? Did he like Captain Crunch with crunch berries, peanut butter crunch, all the above, or only just was a purist, a Captain Crunch purist? I'm not sure. But yeah, then there's other mentions of sex again here in this verse. And then he mentions Norma Jean, who was the birth name to Marilyn Monroe, another actress, famous historical figure, who Prince had an affinity for. There's been accounts of Prince exhibiting enjoyment of Marilyn Monroe's movies, or just liking her aura, who she was as a celebrity, whatever it was that interested him about her. This isn't the first time that I've heard that Norma Jean / Marilyn Monroe was someone that Prince admired in her life. Play my record double speed. So this, I don't know, to me this kind of makes it sound like it's a reference to Camille in a way. This was something, changing the speed of his voice through, the studio tricks, and increasing, by making his voice sound higher. He did that in Erotic City. the Camille project. He wasn't going to really start writing songs for what would be the Camille project if it ended up would have been released for another year or so. But he was playing around with the idea of changing his vocals in the studio to either sound deeper or higher or just whatever the song needed it to be. He would do that. So Play My Record Double Speed. And then there's a reference, in the very next line, the double speed playhouse is making a call. He says, hear ye, one and all. The double speed playhouse is making a call. And that's said by Wendy and Lisa, and maybe Susanna in there as well. I'm not 100% sure on that. But, I think the speed of the voice, the speed of the record that's a callback to that. Play My Record Double Speed and feel the climax fit for a king. Again, another sex reference. Just fun, nothing ethereal. So this again points back to this being a very playful song. It's not really meant to be, I don't believe, meant to be thought of in a overreaching way. Considering the lyrics and just the way it's presented with Prince doing different voices in the song, speaking through a megaphone in parts, having Wendy and Lisa kind of back him up as, playmates or people who he's brought on the journey with him. Maybe they're his cohorts in this adventure, his assistants. It's hard to tell exactly what role they play other than just somebody who repeats lines or helps sing certain lines and maybe throws an ad-lib here or there. So I guess maybe in Prince's mind, a perfect adventure would involve traveling to Africa while eating cereal, watching Marilyn Monroe films, and having sex. I think that's kind of what I'm getting from this verse. I think it's funny that they mention the double speed playhouse and Play My Record Double Speed, because to me that implies sped up, and when you speed vocals up it sounds higher, it's pitched higher. But this next section of lyrics are actually pitched lower. So this is a spoken word section of the song. It's more like half speed, not double speed. Prince's voice is slowed down here. And maybe it's meant to mimic how disorienting dreams can be. So this section of lyrics reminds me a bit of other spoken word sections in other songs like Automatic and the Computer Blue Hallway Speech. Not necessarily in content, but in style as like a bridge in the song. In, fairly lengthy songs, adding a spoken word bridge is something he's done before. Everything here is spoken in like a third person, as if just recounting a story or reading from a book. So I'll go through the lyrics. Welcome, this is where I live. This is where I dream my dreams. Tonight we'll make love until the world stops turning. You are small but very strong. You move like a cat. Quickly but gentle. So insane. He caressed her in her eyes and licked her abdomen. She shivered with delight. Over and over she nibbled his ear. You'd think it was wrong to have so much fun. He held her tightly until it almost hurt. But his hips, they moved so slowly. She wanted to stop breathing. You can feel every curve of your womanhood. You can see every thought in his brain. A submarine slowly moves through the virgin sea. Oh, so slowly, she wants to stop breathing. You can feel every curve. The lyrics here imply something very sensual is happening overall. The line, you're small but very strong, one could look at Prince and say that. Call him small but strong, moving like a cat, quick but gentle. The another repeat of the sexual metaphor with the submarine slowly moving through a virgin sea. So, so a lot of lines here are sensual in nature. Curve of the womanhood, hips moving so slowly. He held her tight until it almost hurt. She wants to stop breathing. You can feel every curve. So and licked her abdomen, caressed her in her eyes, which is Not sure how that works. Maybe just caressing her face, and that's just how he chose to say it, or maybe it's meant to seem like more of a visual enhancement, or something that is appealing visually. Lisa, I'm going to give you the brush, and you're going to paint the side of the train. That line calls back to me a bit of the Computer Blue and the Computer Blue intro. Wendy, yes, Lisa, that intro, of course. She squeezes tighter as the submarine goes deeper in depth, into unnavigated territory. A smile, ever so slight, appears on his face. So she starts to cry. So they come together slowly, they wish for something, as if they could see a parallel future in the sea. They do not speak, they only stare out this moment in time. Marry me today, and tonight we'll make love until the world stops turning. So just more of the same, I guess. More of the spoken word section that is very sensual in nature. It's just continuing the story of the narrator kind of speaking in the third person and relaying a story about two people who are seemingly having sex, and the result of that sex, what happens during it, what happens afterwards, and there's lines in here that to me sound somewhat similar. They do not speak, they only stare out this moment in time. The end of If I Was Your Girlfriend has lines similar to that, about only holding each other and not speaking. And then even I won't stop until the world stops turning, we'll make love until the world stops turning, kind of reminds me a bit of the end of Do Me Baby, when he says, I won't stop until war is over. So, Prince likes to comment that this will continue until something finite happens. Then it's okay for it to come to a conclusion. I'm dreaming of a world wherein there shines the sun, wherein there gleam the stars, wherein there lie the stones, gentle but quickly. Wendy and I think Lisa are whispering this next section that I just read the lyrics to. It's a poetic phrase, but what deeper meaning does it have, if any? I'm dreaming of a world wherein there shines the sun, gleam the stars, lie the stones, gentle but quickly. Earth, currently, all those things happen on our planet, so this feels like it's more of a dreaming of a world that is similar to ours. So even if this is a dreamland, a dream experience, the desire for that place that they're going to in this dream feels like it shouldn't be that vastly different from the world that they know when they're awake. And it's just enhancing the positive attributes of our planet. I mean, just very shortly, there's a lot of things to love about our world, but these are some of the things that are just called out. A sun shining, stars gleaming, and their stones being laid. We'll travel tonight in all my dreams. All my dreams. And they repeat that again, all my dreams. Goodness will guide us if love is inside us. The colors are brighter, the bond is much tighter. You know no child's a failure until the blue sailboat sails him away from his dreams. Don't ever lose, don't ever lose, don't ever lose your dreams. Yeah. So the line about goodness will guide us if love is inside us, that is a line that if you're familiar with the song Christopher Tracy's Parade, you'll recognize that. That was reused, repurposed, whatever you want to call it. At this time when Prince was writing the song, he had a song called Wendy's Parade, or maybe it was Little Wendy's Parade, I forget. I don't remember if that line was in that as well, and if it was, maybe it was meant to be kind of an intentional callback, an intentional repeat to set up a theme for the album Parade. Goodness will guide us if love is inside us being a central theme to the Parade album that was configured in May of 1985 before Under the Cherry Moon was the film was completed or even began. So yeah, so maybe it's just meant to be a theme that was repeated in multiple songs to hammer home that point. Once he decided to remove All My Dreams from Parade and kept Wendy's Parade and then turned it into Christopher Tracy's Parade, who was the main character in the Under the Cherry Moon film, then that theme just kind of, goes away, I guess. It's no longer quite as prominent if it's only just said once versus twice in the track listing of an album. So, I don't know, like, this song always reminds me a bit of characters that from books that I, in other media that I was aware of when I was a kid, like Little Nemo, the little prince who would travel around the galaxy and have adventures. Little Nemo was a guy who, kind of had these fantastical dreams, and his little comic strip would occur during dreamland, and then he would wake up and, all these adventures he was having in his dreams. So just someone who's living in a dream state. And I was a bit of a dreamer as a kid. I mean, I self-described dreamer when it came to just kind of like living in my own head or having my own adventures in my head. I grew up on a farm with no other kids my age. I have an older sister who's 5 years older and a younger brother who's 6 years younger. But when you're, 8 years old, 7, 8 years old, those 5 to 6 year age gaps are pretty significant. So I spent a lot of my time by myself, and I created, these adventures that I would go embark on. And this song reminds me a bit of that, a bit of just dreamland adventures. And of course, in this song, a lot of the dreamland adventures that are occurring here seem to be more sexual in nature, but that is just, because it's written by a full-grown man in his late 20s versus me, who was still an adolescent, who hadn't gone through puberty yet and really wasn't thinking in those terms. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I think this song takes me back to that feeling of just closing your eyes, living in your head for a bit and having adventures, and then in Prince's case, he was able to write a song about it. So let me read from the Parade and Sign of Times era studio sessions book from Dwayne Tudall about this song. All My Dreams was a track that was reminiscent of another artist from that period, according to Wendy. It reminded me of classic Kid Creole and the Coconuts. Prince had this cool sort of personality when he was singing it. One track he sang through a megaphone, and the other track was a clean track, and he mixed the two. Prince was so playful with the sound of his voice that he slowed it down, which inspired Wendy, Susanna, and Lisa's chant about a double-speed playhouse. According to Lisa, Prince was specific about what he wanted for their vocals. Prince would tell us when we would be doing background vocals, sing like you are Betty Davis. And he's talking about the singer Betty Davis, not the actress Betty Davis. If we weren't in the studio, we would watch old black and white films from that whole Putting on the Ritz era. They also added a section that they quietly paraphrased parts of Morning Verse for grades 5 through 8 by Rudolf Steiner, the composition that reflects on the wonders of Earth and the universe. We all, meaning me, Wendy, and Susanna, went to Highland Hall Waldorf School. It was a Rudolf Steiner school, and every morning we would have to start the day with this morning verse. We're a bunch of kids saying this, so it was just interesting. They had you look at the world and consider the sun and the stars and the beasts and the plants and just take everything in and then start your day. Prince just thought that was kooky and amazing, which it is. It's both kooky and amazing because it's pretty amazing to give kids that message to start each day with that. So we said that verse in the background. We were kids in a candy store, so you know how much he loved just saying things and then flipping it backwards or putting little messages in songs. When he came with that, he was just floored. He loved it. He was like, what else you got? We just had that kind of a relationship, I guess, reflects Lisa. We were young and in love, and it was cool. You just get excited about little things. Luckily, some of those little things were kind of interesting, like the morning prayer. Some of them were just silly, but when you're young and excited, it's like, you like Chinese food? I like Chinese food. Let's put that in a song. The track also features live drums layered with the new Fairlight keyboard. And then there's a quote from Wally Safford, who was in Prince's late Revolution era band, and briefly his bodyguard as well. Captain Crunch. That was one of his favorite cereals. Yep, it sure was. Alright, so that is my take on All My Dreams. For a fairly lengthy song, I don't have a lot to say about the lyrics because I don't think there's a lot of I guess I would call deeper meaning or ways to dissect it in a manner that would be interesting or meaningful for listeners. So I think a lot of the lyrics just kind of come across as playful and a little sensual. The music for All My Dreams has always been a bit more interesting to me in the composition, how the song progresses and then goes through its little phases, the way Prince changes his voice. The sound of the song always meant more to me and appealed more to me than the lyrics. So going through the lyrics for the first time in this manner for this show, I'm like, I think I was on the right track. I think the song itself is more interesting than the lyrics. Although it's not like there's nothing mundane about the lyrics. It's all pretty fantastical and, like I said, whimsical earlier, but it's not some grander, deep meaning song that has personal ties like an Old Friends for Sale, or have some sort of political stance to take, like Free from 1999. It's just a song intended to provide some sort of feeling and mood and add more color to what would ultimately be a black and white film and a black and white album cover. The rollout for Parade would be very monochrome, so this song felt just way more colorful, although some of the songs on Parade are very colorful, even though the movie and soundtrack album aren't literally colorful. If there was a concept album called Dream Factory, obviously this would have made a centerpiece for that, or it could have been like the album finale, but that never came to fruition, so it ended up being a vault track for decades until we finally got it in 2020. So that is my take on All My Dreams. Hope you enjoyed the show. This has been the Press Rewind Prince Lyrics podcast. I've been your host, Jason Brenninger. You can find the show at pressrewind.net or on most social media platforms that you may be using. And until next time, thank you very much, and goodbye.